A group of young people are enjoying a lively party on a beach. Amidst the dancing and revelry, everything is being captured on camera. Mitch, one of the attendees, insists on collecting everyone's phones in a bag to prevent any photos of their wild escapades from ending up online. Then, two of the guys, Vance and Gilbert, bring over a sticky, glob-like object they've discovered in the water. The sight grosses everyone out, but they quickly dismiss it. Suddenly, we're thrust into the light of the following morning. Everyone has dozed off, including Kaylee, who's nestled with Mitch. Their friends, Chanda, Jonah, Ronnie, and Vance, are nearby, slumped in a car. Kaylee stirs awake first. Her gaze lands on a bird flapping in vain on the beach. At first, she believes it's simply stuck, but to her horror, the bird is swallowed by the sand. An alarmed Kaylee warns the rest not to set foot on the sand. However, her warning comes too late for her friend Marcia, who's laying on a beach bench, stark naked. Marcia leaps onto the sand and instantly becomes immobilized. In the ensuing confusion, Vance dashes towards Marcia, but he too is trapped by the sand before reaching her. Marcia vanishes completely, swallowed whole by the sand. Vance cries out in agony, begging his girlfriend Ronnie for help. As Vance struggles to free himself, he is grotesquely mutilated, and finally, he too is devoured by the sand. The group is in shock and they start racking their brains for an explanation. They reach for their phones, only to realize they're in the car's trunk. Jonah tries to ignite the car, but the battery is dead. Trapped and terrified, Kaylee investigates the sand, only to witness strange white tendrils reaching out towards her from beneath. Mitch is equally baffled by the sight. Another friend, Gilbert, suddenly wakes up, trapped inside a trash can, cursing his friends for this uncomfortable prank. The group urgently instructs him to stay put after he learns about Marcia and Vance's horrifying fates. Inside, Mitch and Kaylee share a moment, much to Jonah's evident envy. Jonah and Kaylee had once been an item, but he is now with Chanda, causing an undercurrent of hurt and tension. As hours pass and no one comes to their rescue, Kaylee manages to find a bottle of sunscreen and passes it to the others to help shield them from the increasing heat. Gilbert, still confined to the trash can, is teetering on the edge of heat exhaustion. Kaylee tries to puzzle out the bizarre predicament. As they survey their surroundings, they grasp the chilling reality that all the other partygoers have also been consumed by the sand. Suddenly, Kaylee spots the strange gooey ball from last night near the water's edge. To her horror, she realizes it has hatched. They surmise that the ball was an egg belonging to some form of predatory creature living beneath the sand, and it has been feeding on them. Assuming the newly hatched creature is relatively small and has a definite shape, Kaylee formulates a plan to determine its size. She begins to throw sausages across the beach. Gilbert, observing a bird vanish into the sand, finally accepts the truth of their situation. Despite protests that the sausages represent their remaining food, Kaylee persists with her method. The last sausage thrown doesn't get sucked into the sand, igniting a spark of hope in the group. However, their joy is tempered by the realization that they still can't safely traverse the sand. Jonah retrieves 2 surfboards from the back of their car and tests one on the sand. When he doesn't sink, he uses the boards to carefully approach a nearby bench. Just as he's about to reach the bench, the surfboard beneath him shifts unexpectedly. A tendril of the sand creature burrows into his abdomen. Despite his pain, he reaches the bench where he finds a bag of food supplies. In his agony, he drops a banana onto the sand, but it remains untouched. He deduces that the fruit has landed on the site of their previous night's bonfire, suggesting that the creature can't penetrate fire or ash. His wounds, however, are worsening, the pain causing him to panic. Kaylee soothes him, instructing him to distribute the food and drinks he discovered. As he complies, his injuries become increasingly severe. During an attempt to toss a can to Mitch, Jonah's pus-filled wounds rupture. Crying out, he collapses on the bench. Meanwhile, the surfboards on the ground continue to move, indicating that the creature beneath the sand is expanding. Kaylee notices strange tendrils latching onto the car's tires, struggling to shift it. Time is running out before the creature grows large enough to consume the car. Chanda and Ronnie make a desperate attempt to retrieve their phones from the car's trunk. Risking her life, Ronnie climbs onto the car's hood. Before she goes, she entrusts Chanda with a letter for her mother should she not survive. Kaylee warns her about the trunk's risk and gives her a rescue hook for support. Ronnie manages to open the trunk. Suddenly, a car drives up to the beach, honking at the group. The startling noise causes Ronnie to slam the trunk shut, trapping her fingers. Inside, the new arrival is a beach patrol officer who dismisses their pleas for help, suspecting them of being high on drugs. Despite Kaylee's urgent warnings, the officer steps out of his car and astonishingly, he walks on the beach unaffected. A closer look reveals that the strange tendrils are unable to latch onto the officer's shoes. The officer approaches Jonah and, disgusted by his injuries, continues to ignore his pleas for help, maintaining the belief that they are all on drugs. When he attempts to confront Kaylee and Mitch, he admonishes them for being irresponsible teenagers. He insists Kaylee step out and becomes enraged when she refuses. He threatens to use his pepper spray on them but accidentally drops his keys onto the sand in the process. As he attempts to retrieve them, he becomes ensnared in the sand. Only then does he realize that the group was not lying, but it's too late for him to react. Kaylee suggests using the pepper spray on the tendrils enveloping him. The spray has some effect, freeing his hand momentarily, but half his arm is gone. His screams of agony fill the air as the tendrils drag him back down. Once he's entirely consumed by the sand, Kaylee retrieves the dropped pepper spray. Mitch proposes a plan to reach the officer's car by wearing sandals and wrapping towels around his feet, hoping they will provide the same protection as the officer's shoes. As Chanda throws a towel to him, he falls over the railing and is swiftly devoured by the creature. Fueled by frustration, Kaylee notices the fallen railing moving on the ground and devises a plan. She breaks off a part of the railing to create a makeshift bridge and hands it to Chanda. Successfully jumping onto the car from the deck, Kaylee lands a punch on Chanda for her betrayal with Jonah. Chanda seems unfazed and the two cooperate to free Ronnie's trapped fingers from the trunk. On the bench, Jonah confesses his love for Kaylee. Kaylee outlines her plan to use the railing as a bridge to reach Jonah and subsequently guide everyone to the officer's car. Chanda carefully places the railing on the sand and navigates her way to Jonah. Kaylee follows suit, and the three of them safely reach the bench. As Ronnie makes her way towards them, the sand creature's tendrils ensnare her injured hand, causing her to fall. Kaylee attempts to save her with the pepper spray, but it only offers temporary relief. The creature violently pulls Ronnie into the sand. Chanda wraps her feet with a towel and a bag and makes a dash for the car, managing to reach the hood before the tendrils can ensnare her. Gilbert, still trapped in the trash can, cheers in celebration. However, his cheer is short-lived as the bin starts shaking. The sharp edge of the trash can slices his flesh, and the ensuing blood attracts the creature. Gilbert's screams echo as the creature infiltrates the bin and latches onto his legs, and he begins vomiting blood. Suddenly, a multitude of large, gruesome appendages seize Gilbert, pulling him under the surface of the sand. These same monstrous limbs rock the car, causing Chanda to lose her balance and fall onto the hood, knocking her unconscious. Kaylee's desperate calls for her to wake up go unanswered as hours pass, the day giving way to the dark of night. Eventually, Chanda comes to, finding Kaylee still with an injured Jonah on the bench. Spotting a raft atop the officer's car, Chanda uses it to traverse the sand, reaching Kaylee and Jonah. They manage to make their way back to the car, but as Kaylee is about to climb in, a massive, luminescent tentacle lashes out at her. The creature beneath the sand has reached its full, terrifying potential. Quick thinking, Kaylee grabs a gas can from the top of the car, setting the tentacle ablaze and finally making it inside the vehicle. An eerie silence fills the car as the realization hits, Jonah has succumbed to his injuries. Grief-stricken, Kaylee and Chanda share a tearful embrace, mourning their fallen friends. The next morning, a knock on the car window rouses the girls from their exhausted sleep. The man outside the vehicle reveals that the monstrous threat has vanished, they can walk on the sand again. Dazed and traumatized, they traverse the sandy expanse, the man calling for an ambulance to aid them. In a chilling final shot, the creature, now identifiable as a gargantuan jellyfish, is seen in the water, its course set for Santa Monica Pier.